said today will be part of the Hansard of this House. The practice, as I've known it to be, is that in this House, although we come here, majority, minority, when it comes to debates, there is equal share. Since 1997, when the first opposition party was in this House, we had a 61 plus 6 smaller parties making the minority 67, with overwhelming majority being the NDC with 133. The Speaker, D.F. Annan of blessed memory, the records would bear me out, that in all debates, you pick one from the right, you pick one from the left. The practice continued under Alajete, and then eventually under Okwe, where the MPP had overwhelming numbers in this House. The very first in the history of our politics, MPP had 169. Mr. Speaker, the practice did not change. With the 169, the debate was still shared equally. And I do recall that even committee sittings, committee sharing, some consensus was built and some concessions had to be made by the majority to accommodate some more numbers for the minority. Mr. Speaker, delegation to sub-regional parliament and all, we all had some understanding of the way to go. Well, I am not going to challenge the majority on this. I will not. Because as Ngugi wa Thiong'o wrote in Weep Not Child, weep not child, weep not my darling. With these cases, let me remove your tears. The ravening clouds shall not long be victorious, they shall not long possess the skies. If today you are of the view that in this debating chamber, they should call 7 of you and call only 3 because you have the rule, I will not debate or let us break shoulders over this matter, because I know that in as long as there is life, even if I am dead and gone, and this democracy that we have all established is in force, the MPP will someday come into power. Be it 4 years, 8 years, 50 years, 100 years, NPP will someday come. And the records of this House, will be the guiding rule. So, Mr. Speaker, I would strongly urge upon the majority leader that some of these new presidents that they are introducing, they must be measured in the way they are introducing these presidents. Because we are watching, we are taking notes, and a day may come that references will be made. I have tasted that bitter pill when you referred me to some of the actions of the then opposition leader in this House in 2016. And you said that is the basis for you even preventing Supreme Court nominees from being considered on the House floor. To the extent that the minority chief whip, as it then was, Honorable Kwame Govins Agboja, threatened that should I make an attempt to lay the report, there will be chaos. We retreated. We listened to them. We said it's okay. After all, in a democracy, you can't get everything. So we'll let it go. Mr. Speaker, without more, I will take my seat and leave the matter to you.
Thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened carefully to colleagues in the chamber, and I think, in a sense, there's been an attempt to question the mandate of the Business Committee to engage in a determination that the time allotted for debate should be proportional to our numbers in the chamber. Mr. Speaker, let's look at Order 216-2B. Order 216-2B. 216-2B says that, subject to Order 67, the committee shall recommend the time allotted for debate on bills. The time allotted for debates on bills, motions, private members' bills, private members' motions, and other business. Here we are discussing a motion to thank the President for coming to this House to deliver a message on the state of the nation. So it is part of the mandate of the Business Committee to recommend the allotment of time. Mr. Speaker, let's break it down to what is in issue. What is in issue is that the Business Committee proposed that we have 5 slots, 10 slots per day, and the 10 slots and the debate will last 4 days. So in effect, Mr. Speaker, we are looking at 40 slots in all for the debate. Okay? 40 slots in all for the debate. And we have allotted the specific time that each speaker may speak. The allotment to leadership, the allotment to chairs, and the allotment to ordinary members. Mr. Speaker, according to what my friends on the other side are proposing, we should allot 20 slots and the time allocated for those slots to their side, and also allot 20 slots and the time allocated for those 20 slots to our side. Mr. Speaker, what that means is that their side, with 88 members, will individually have a higher allocation of allotted time than this side that has 188 members. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is that it is inequitable to have 188 members who constitute 68% of the House take 20 slots, and then you have 88 who are 32% of the House also taking 20 slots. It's just inequitable. It is inequitable, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what that means is that members of this side get more opportunity, more airtime, more opportunity than members on this side. Mr. Speaker, like an ordinary member, a member indicated earlier on, because of this, the public watching us often come to a conclusion that we with 188 members are being overshadowed by those who are only 88. And that is because the allocation of time. Because if you give them 88 people 20 hours and give 188 people 20 hours, definitely the 88 people with 20 hours will end up outshining the 188. So it is only fair that we allot the time on the basis of our numbers in the chamber. So, Mr. Speaker, it is only equitable. I have also heard colleagues try to argue that Order 115 governs the allocation of time or the determination of who speaks. Mr. Speaker, let's read Order 115. Order 115, and with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, I read. It says that subject to the discretion of the Speaker and Order 1693B, a member who intends to speak shall rise in the member's place and address the chair while standing only and catching the eye of the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this has nothing to do with the allotment of time. This has nothing to do with the allotment of the number of speakers determined for each side. Mr. Speaker, it has always been the practice of this House that we agree on the number of speakers on both sides. We always agree. This is not the first time. At all times, we agree, okay, this side 10, this side 5, or this side 5, this side 5. We always agree. So you can't say that, to now say that the agreement should be varied equitably, then we are taking away the power of the Speaker to recognize somebody standing so that he can give the person an opportunity to contribute. So, Mr. Speaker, 115 has nothing to do with this decision. Indeed, this decision is wholly governed by 2162B. So it is obvious. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that whatever it is, let's be fair. We have a lot of new members on this side, and we also have new members on this side. When we restrict the allocations the way that you are proposing, what it will happen invariably is that it means that a member on your side gets 2 opportunities when a member on this side gets only 1. And that's not fair. That's not fair. A member on your side gets 2 opportunities when a member on this side gets only 1 opportunity. That's not fair. Mr. Speaker, let me get to the subject matter. A debate on the state of the nation presented by the President. There are 2 sides. There's a side that will be seeking to disprove what the President has said, and there's a side that will be seeking to confirm what the President has said. Mr. Speaker, let me indicate that we on this side stand by our position that when it comes to government business and we are allotting time, let's allot it equitably so that we have, based on our numbers, a greater allocation of time than your side. And that is why during the committee meeting, we had our disagreements, and when according to the procedure spelled out in our standing orders, we put it to a vote. And 7 votes in favor of that proposed allocation of time, and then 4 on your side decided not to participate in the vote and asked that the record should indicate that they protested and they disagreed with the decision. But 7 of us voted in favor of the position that you have 68, that we have 68% of the time, and that you have 32% of the time, reflecting the different sizes of the policies that this government has pronounced. I think that it would be a good idea for the relevant sector ministers to come and present the policy documents to us, but the issue is timing, whether it should be before the budget or it should be after the budget. I will convey the message to them. It's a good proposal. I will convey the message to them and see whether they are prepared to come before us with those policy documents before the finance minister appears, or they will incorporate it in the budget so that the finance minister will make those policy pronouncements and then proceed to present a budgetary allocation to implement those policies. The invitation of the governor is on Wednesday, and it will be at the sitting of the Committee of the Whole, and it has been provided for in the draft document that we had. But when they went to print the final document, I did not see it. So, Mr. Speaker, I think those are the issues, and that is how we have programmed next week. And so, Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to adopt the program for next week as presented by the chairman of the Business Committee. Thank you.
Honorable members,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite you to the Constitution. I want to invite you to the Constitution in Article 104. And with your permission, I read. Mr. Speaker, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of majority of members present and voting, with at least half of members of Parliament present. Mr. Speaker, on page 2 of the business statement, the conclusion part, it reads that the minority, however, gave the indication that they were not part of the decision and accordingly do not recognize the vote. The committee recommend the committee accordingly submit the matter for the consideration of the House. The consideration of the House implies we need a decision quorum, which is 138. I invite you, we cannot take that decision at the moment. We don't have 138 members in this chamber, and we cannot take a decision because the committee recommends for the House to adopt it. And I invite you that, Mr. Speaker, we can approve the business statement and stand down this very matter because it is for the consideration of the House. And in Article 104, we don't have 138 members present to take that decision. Mr. Speaker, I so invite you. Thank you.
Well, honorable members, I think this issue, you wouldn't allow. Yes, will you let me hear you?
Speaker, I have listened to the Honorable Second Deputy Minority, First Deputy Minority Chief Whip. He has read the Constitution to you. He has not conveyed anything other than that to you. The invitation has not been done. Mr. Speaker, he has not told this House how many we are. He hasn't. I have counted. He has not told the House how many we are. If we are not 138, how many are we? So Speaker, it is inaccurate for him to suggest to you and to the House that we are not 138. For we are, and we are more than. For we are, and we are more than. So he cannot merely and whimsically say that we are less than 138 and that is it. He has not backed it with any evidence. i.e., having done the head count personally as a whip and showed the evidence. Me, I have. And we are more than 138. So, Mr. Speaker, I will invite you to disregard his submissions as if same was never done at all, and put the question, Mr. Speaker, so we can deal with this matter. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in raising the constitutional matter, Mr. Speaker, in raising the constitutional matter, I made it clear that we are not 138, Mr. Speaker. When inviting you to the constitutional provisions, I told you that we are not 138. On this side, they are 40. On this side, they are 28. On this side, they are 17. We are less than 100, Mr. Speaker. We are not 138. So for that matter, I invite you to stand on the matter because we don't have a decision-making quorum to continue with that matter, Mr. Speaker. We can approve other part of the business statement, but that matter that was invited, the committee invited the House for its consideration on that particular matter. The committee invited us, and we are not 138, and based on Article 104, we cannot continue, Mr. Speaker. I invite you to do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer as you are, you should do the right thing and respect the Constitution in the provisions in Article 104. I so invite you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I was at the business committee meeting. Mr. Speaker, what happened at the committee meeting was that when the matter came up, we argued and argued and argued, same way that we're arguing in the chamber, and there was no consensus. So I referred them to the appropriate orders 2842 and said, if you cannot come to a consensus, which is what the rules say, that you should decide by consensus. If you cannot come to a consensus, then you will have to put it to a vote. And the chairman, Honorable Ricketts, he was chairing. I was there. I'm the chairman, but I was not chairing. But he was chairing. He put it to a vote. A voice vote first. Then there was some disagreement. We said, let's do head count. They said they didn't want their heads to be counted. They didn't want their heads to be counted. So I even encouraged them to cover their heads so that we'll count the other available heads. On a lighter note, Mr. Speaker, we joked about it. So we counted. And the majority side were 7. And then they said they wanted it recorded, that they protested. To say you want something recorded, that you are protesting against it, that you don't recognize it, doesn't mean that a vote was not taken. It also doesn't mean that you didn't lose the vote. Because the rules are clear that you put the matter to a vote. You either win or you lose, or you abstain. You didn't want to abstain. I also didn't want your head to be counted. So how are we to go about it? So we said they should count those who were voting for it. So they counted, and 7 voted for. And there were 4. So we assumed that naturally the 4 were either abstaining or voting against. So the matter could not have been referred to this House to take a decision. There's no way that the matter was referred to this House to take a decision. No matter what the secretary wrote there, because of this same matter, we said the secretary should tell us exactly what our conclusions were at the meeting. Because we didn't want a situation where we will get to the chamber and there will be a dispute as to what had actually happened. So the secretary then indicated to us in their presence the conclusion that there was a vote, and the vote was 7 in favor of, and we didn't know whether the 4 were abstaining or they were voting against, but they wanted to record it that they were against the position that we had taken. And that is it. There was no decision there that the matter was being referred to the House to decide. So, Mr. Speaker, that provision is hereby amended because there was no decision. And there are members who were there. If they are in this room, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, in order to raise the question of quorum, I noticed people walking out in droves. And so those who were members are no longer in the chamber to confirm exactly what happened. But, Mr. Speaker, that was what happened at the committee meeting. So the matter wasn't referred to this House to take a decision. So it is amended. And if there is a dispute, the clerk should be invited here to come and confirm whether what I'm saying is true or not. That was exactly what happened. No referral was made to this House, Mr. Speaker. No referral was made to this House. So it is hereby amended to that effect.
We've taken some time on this.
The same way, Mr. Speaker, that the Bank of Ghana component of our conclusions was also omitted. If you read what you have, the Bank of Ghana decision to invite the Bank of Ghana here on Wednesday was also omitted. And yet, if you ask them, they will tell you that they took that decision. So that's why I had to subsequently, amend the report to incorporate that. So I hereby amend the report to also delete any indication that the matter was referred to this House to take a decision.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my suggestion to you is that this very matter be referred to the Right Honorable Speaker for further discussion with leadership, because, Mr. Speaker, it is going to set a certain new precedent. And you are a member of this House, and you are as a second Deputy Speaker. I suggest that let's go and discuss this matter with the Right Honorable Speaker, and then we can make progress. If he, as the head of this assembly, finally exercises the discretion that whatever is being said by the majority should be the new practice, then we have it on record, and then we are guided accordingly for tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I think we've had a lot of discussion. Personally, I think I've had this discussion with the Speaker. I think the majority leader was there. This issue was raised. And according to him, he wanted us to go by the status quo, that one here, one here. I was there when this decision, leader, you let me finish. I'll give you the opportunity. When this issue was raised, to the effect that the majority will be shortchanged, they will not get enough. Honorable members, please allow me to speak. Will be shortchanged, will not get enough space to also air their views. Their constituents would like to hear them. The Speaker insisted that there are so many means a member can be heard. There are so many means a member who is desirous to be heard that is indeed doing work in the chamber can be done. It can be done through questions, as this morning I was in a way trying to invite my members from the majority to ask questions. They can come through statements, they can come through motions, and all these are ways that members who are desirous to make industry in the chamber can do. When it comes to contributions and comes to debate, normally the practice of the House, and by extension to other So, honorable members, what I'm saying, I'm not changing anything. I personally would like to go by the status quo, but the business committee has taken a decision. I think what the minority leader is saying is to refer to the speaker again. I think is in order. But honorable members, please allow me to finish. Honorable members, I think to allow anybody to speak rests with the speaker per standing orders 115. So whether I will be here or my brother or the speaker himself, he will be guided by it. And I think as to whether you allow members here to speak more or it will depend on the speaker. So please, I think we don't need to split our heads over this. I've heard majority on equitable point of view. I think I share with you, but the standard and the practice over the House is that one speak here, and that's why members, honorable members, that is why, honorable members, that is why in the second Parliament, 166 against 134, that issue was not raised. That is why in the 7th Parliament, 169 against that was not raised. I think let's maintain it. But if whatever it is, honorable members, whatever it is, the business proposal that has been discussed is hereby adopted.
Mr. Speaker,
I have adopted your business statement, so it's okay. Yes. Honorable member, whatever yes. I said for me. The business statement has been adopted.
Yes.
I was just speaking for
let me just say
the
something.
way
yes. Let me just say something. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, the media is covering. For the avoidance of doubt, the business statement is what has been adopted. And the business statement says that the allocation of time for the debate on the message on the State of the Nation motion, it shall be 63% here and 32% here. That's what it says. That's what it says. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, 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 we are guided. You guide us in this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I think you guide us in this House. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say what the minority leader said. He has recorded. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, let's close the chapter.
Yeah,
for this
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you heard the majority leader. And Mr. Speaker, what I'm simply trying to put across is that you have guided us, and you said the speaker. The speaker here means the leader of the institution Parliament, the Mr. Speaker, have said, and you were present, to the effect that one here, and that is what is stand. Whatever is contained in here was not what the speaker said. In order 115, when a member time to speak, lie on the speaker. So the majority leader assertion of his time allocation 68 to 32 is not approved. It's not there. It's not approved.
Honorable,
the speaker
honorable.
said one here. So it's not approved.
Honorable members, the presentation by the majority leader was to the effect that whatever decision that was taken at the business committee was not to be brought to the chamber for us to take a decision on. I mean, it has been presented, members have raised issues. Personally, I have also raised my own issues. And whatever it is, the business statement ought to be adopted. So we've adopted it with all, but like I said, if I am presiding or my member is presiding, per our standing orders 115, the person must catch the speaker's eye. Of course, I also encourage leadership because this has a far-reaching consequence. And therefore, I encourage leadership to meet and take decision on this. Even after the discussion of the, honorable members, even after the discussion of the president's message, I think we need to holistically take a decision on this. So that is my discussion. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I beg you. We speak not just to ourselves in this chamber, we speak to a nation. There's a whole country watching us, a whole world watching us. Boko is in the world. Mr. Speaker, what happened today is that we brought the report of the business committee to be adopted. One of the items in the report is how we allot time for the debate on the motion on the state of the nation next week. And we have specific recommendations. It was disputed at the committee meeting, but we voted on it. And so it is part of the report. It has been disputed here, comments made, and etc. You yourself have expressed your reservations, but in the end, you put the vote, the question to us to vote and adopt it, and we have voted and we have adopted the report. So the report as adopted, the report as adopted. My understanding, Mr. Speaker, is very important because the journalists are going to report it in the news today. My understanding is that the decision of the House is that 68% of the time is allocated to the majority and 32% of the time allocated to the minority. That's the decision of the House. That's the decision. Mr. Speaker, I want the media to convey this because this is the decision. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker has made some comments. He has made some comments. And his comments are that, in his opinion, the allocation of time is governed by Order 115. That's what I heard the Speaker saying. To catch the Speaker's eye. But, Mr. Speaker, you know that when we are debating the budget, when we are debating the State of the Nation address, it is not the person who rises that catches your eye. We normally write down the names on a list of paper and give it to you, and then you call them according to the name that we have given you and the times agreed. So it's not a question of who catches your eye. It is how many we have given you and who we have given you, and how many they have given you and who they have given you, that you call. And that is what is going to govern the debate next week. So next week, we will give you 68% of the names, and they'll give you 32% of the names. And that's what you will call. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader. Honorable Majority Leader. With regards to the names, can you educate me with regards to the names? because all these are more or less conventions we have adopted. They are all conventions we've adopted. So specifically, if you are talking of handing over names to the speaker, if you can educate me on, so that, because I thought it's a standard, it's a convention that we all adapt. So if you want to help me, then help me well, so that I know per these standing orders, leadership can hand names to the speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I have been in this chamber for close to 2 decades. Mr. Speaker, you always agree on the numbers for each side, and based on that agreement, the sides will give you the names of the members.
Yes.
Is that okay? So we are agreeing on the numbers. Mr. Speaker, because there was no consensus, so we voted. We voted and used our numbers, and so we have concluded that you are taking 32% of the numbers, and we are taking 68% of the numbers. Mr. Speaker, this is straightforward. I don't see why we are debating this. And this has been concluded by the committee. And you have put the question on the report. It has been adopted. The only issue I have, Mr. Speaker, is when this House has taken a decision, and after the House has taken a decision, you are running commentary that appears to undermine the decision of the House. And that confuses the public. That's why I want clarity. That's why I keep repeating myself that this, so far as I am concerned, is the decision of the House.
Thank you.
The House has adopted the report.
Honorable leadership, thank you. I think let's bring this to a close. I don't want to talk about it. I said probably leadership will have to take, because it has a far-reaching consequence. Leadership, any indication?
Speaker, considering that we just adopted business statement and the questions slotted for today have all been taken, we are in your hands. It's past 2 o'clock. We are ready to be adjourned. In any case, we have orientation starting tonight. Thank you. Orientation whole. So, Speaker, I want to urge our colleagues to join us for the orientation. It is important. The orientation will cure some of these matters that they are debating. So we are encouraging them to join us in whole 6 p.m. tonight. Speaker, thank you.
Majority Leader, will you put a motion? We've not spent. Okay.
Speaker, I move that the House be adjourned. I thank you.
Leader, say what by seconding, say whatever you want to say.
Speaker, I will not second the motion now, just to make a comment. My whip earlier made a call to us that we should join in the retreat. Speaker, let the record reflect now and the future that we are always for a workshop to build our capacity, and we have never turned down any invitation to such gathering. However, at the business committee, I made it abundantly clear the position of the minority. We said that as far as the decision, this recent decision, is at variance with custom and practices and what we are used to. There has never been a time that Parliament goes out for a retreat and the leadership is not consulted. The leadership is not involved in the planning in terms of the choice of venue, in terms of resource person to come and make presentation to us. This was not done. Speaker, listen. Speaker, this was not done. So our position is a very principled position. We are saying that the clerk and the management should consult leadership. That has been the practice. So until that consultation is done, we cannot be part. We cannot be part of this weekend's retreat. And let nobody take it with malice. No, it's a very principled position. And that should be respected. Speaker, besides the point, we had also said that, and it is important our colleagues stay consistent with their earlier argument. We all want to reduce costs. We want to reduce costs. So the last time, the argument was strongly made that let's reduce costs by having the engagement here. What has changed? You're already saying that the economy is not strong. You already made the argument that the economy is not strong. So, Speaker, simply put, we want to reduce costs. So to that end, the retreat respectfully Speaker, to that end, let the retreat, with respect to my leader, Speaker, the principal position is that we want to reduce costs. And the chamber is spacious enough to contain all of us. So let's hold the retreat here, just as was done the other time. So let the record reflect same. And it's the reason why we are not partaking in the weekend's retreat. Cost is so important. Cost is so important. Speaker, that's it. But Speaker, we had agreed that colleagues, the Honorable Champion was here. Leader, sit down. Well, I don't know. Okay, well, he can come on the 122. I don't have no problem. Are you advising him? Speaker, the Honorable Champion was here, and we agreed that we'll take statement on both sides. So I asked him whether they had statement on their side, and he answered in the affirmative that there are two statements on your side. Yes, and we also have some statements. Speaker, we'll leave the decision to you to decide the number of statements to be admitted. So we can take one on each side, and then we'll call it a day. Then we'll call it a day. Yes, we have. Quorum is determined by the mood of the House. Quorum is determined by the mood of the House.
Yes, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I understand what my honorable brother is trying to say. Ideally, you would expect that the clerk would have engaged you. But I think there's something quite unique this time around, because we ourselves, we were not invited to anything. But then, of course, we like who, so we are going to go to who. I mean, it's a matter between you and the clerk to resolve this issue. It should not happen that way. But I will encourage you that you come to who, so we will be there. And hopefully we'll be waiting for you. Hopefully we'll show up. Thank you.
Your leader wanted me to dance the whole dance.
Yeah. The whole dance that your leader was requesting in the appointment committee is being done in Ho, so you can come to Ho. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Unless, assuming without admitting that our colleagues are not taking a cue from what His Excellency the President has given, even the celebration of Independence Day, it is being done at Jubilee House for a very good reason, to reduce costs. You are here, you want to increase costs. So they need to take a cue from His Excellency the President.
To reduce costs.
For the reason of reducing costs, we are not going to hold, we will have it here. We will have it here. And that's the decision. Come and join us.
Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Minority Chief Whip is insisting that for the reason of reducing cost, we will have it here. Assuming we want to have it now, show me your members. Show me your members. Where are your members? Where are they for the purposes of the orientation? Okay, we'll have the orientation now. Show me your members. You are not here. You see, this is the reason why the clerk The clerk would like to move the location because it is often difficult to get the MPs. It's difficult. So if you move MPs to a different locations where it is difficult for them to stay away, then you can have their attention for the purposes of the orientation. That's the reason why we often move out of the building. And Mr. Speaker, I don't even think that we have a facility that can take all of us at once. I don't think so. Unless we decide to have it in this chamber. That's the only other option. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is a matter for the clerk. I mean, we as leadership of the House can engage with the clerk for the future. But I think this one, the plans are far advanced. And I think that I urge our colleagues to avail themselves of the opportunity to have this orientation program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. So, honorable members, the motion has been moved. I hope you seconded.
Speaker, I did not. What I suggested was, Speaker, we have one statement here and one there. Speaker, I will second the motion. But just to put the majority on notice, I want to put the majority on notice that SONA, His Excellency the President has come to present SONA to us. And the whip has not done what he has to do. All those matters are still at large. Speaker, I want to put my whip on notice. When we were on the other side, housekeeping matters were taken serious. So I plead with my whip. You shouldn't take these matters lightly. I plead with you. On that note, I second the motion.
Honorable members, let me thank you very much for your cooperation. It's all part of parliamentary practice. So I'll go ahead to adjourn the House to Tuesday the, is it 3rd? Tuesday the 3rd of March. Tuesday is 4th. I'm sorry. Tuesday the 4th of March, 2025. Tuesday the 4th of March, 2025. The House stands adjourned.
Minority Leader.
Chairman, it is my distinct honor to rise to second this motion ably moved by my respected colleague, Dr. Kesil Atoba Forson. But before I second this motion, before I second this motion, under the rules of this House, which secondment requires that there should be no need for remarks or debate. I shall address some preliminary matters before. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, this House is an independent constitutional body. The mandate given to us to elect a speaker is engraved in the provisions of the Constitution, in particular, Article 95 of the Constitution. The Speaker he hasn't called me.
Mr. Chairman, your guidance will be needed in this matter. This is my 4th term in this House, and this is the first time in the history of this Parliament. Our standing orders are very clear. When you rise to second a motion, there must be no remark, no debate. What the minority leader, who has not told us if it is now spiritually okay for him to sit in the minority leader's chair, I don't know what his spiritual advisors are telling him now. He cannot be violently violating our standing orders with such impunity. We cannot accept it. So, Mr. Chairman, please, we invite you to ensure that this solemn occasion proceeds with respect for our Constitution and the standing orders of the House. If you have some, you call it preliminary remarks, you can do that out of the confines of the motion and secondment. You are minority leader. You are well within your right to make your preliminary remarks after. You cannot be violating our standing orders. Please, let's be careful the precedent we set. This is so bizarre. It's never been seen in this House. So, respected minority leader, please. And, Chair, I'm getting the impression that the clerk is allowing the minority leader to dictate the pace. Please, let's see your authority. We will not accept this.
With Global, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate it. Because when the grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts, and that key ingredient just in time. Receiving anything on Global deserves a dance. Order a Global and track it till you receive it in minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, honorable members.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable members, thank you very much. The honorable minority leader indicated that he's aware of the rules of engagement regarding seconding the motion nominating the speaker. That should be without debate or remarks. And I believe the honorable minority leader will do exactly so. Honorable minority leader, you may proceed without debate or remarks. Honorable minority leader, you have the floor. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I do not want to take issues with my respected colleague, Honorable Ablakwa. I will always want to respect his views. But I love debates, and I would want us to go into the issues. I respectfully, I kept quiet. You are impatient. I kept quiet for you. let's have some decorum. Mr. Chairman, my practice at the bar is always a guide for me. I said I have a preliminary matter to raise. In law, Mr. Blakwa, you pay attention. This is a matter of law. This is a matter of law. This is a matter of law. Law. Law, pay attention. When Mr. Chairman, I said I have a preliminary matter, I meant to say that I had to deal with the preliminary matter before I get to the stage of seconding the motion. And that is allowed. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, this house is a house of rules and procedures. Mr. Chairman, before I proceed, let me put on record that the minority leader is a distinguished lawyer of repute. And indeed, Mr. Chairman, I will refer the House to the rules of this House, and specifically to Order 8, Rule 4. And Mr. Chairman did refer to it, which reads, with your permission, and I quote, that a member-elect addressing the clerk shall propose a person to the House as the Speaker of Parliament and shall move that the person, quotes, do take the chair of this House as Speaker, end quote, which motion shall be seconded without debate or remarks, end quote. Mr. Chairman, my colleague, brother, and friend, the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, made the point rightly that in seconding the motion for somebody to take the chair, one is not entitled to make remarks or debate. But Mr. Chairman, we all heard the venerable, distinguished, astute lawyer, minority leader, Honorable Afenyo Makin, loud and clear. Mr. Chairman, he said, and I quote him, before I second the motion, and end quote, before I second the motion. Mr. Chairman, he had not seconded the motion. And he did go a step further, Mr. Chairman, he did go a step further to say, before I second the motion, I would like to make some preliminary
another honorable member interjected. The rules of the House, honorable members, honorable minority leader, please continue with the seconding of the motion.
Mr.
Please
Chairman.
second the motion. Please second the motion.
Mr. Chairman, our Constitution, Article 95, provides that there shall be a Speaker who shall be elected by members of Parliament from among persons who are members of Parliament or who are qualified to be elected as members of Parliament. Mr. Chairman, I have in my hand a statement issued by the Office of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, titled President-elect Mandate NDC Parliamentary Leadership to nominate Right Honorable ASK Bagbin as Speaker of 9th Parliament. It reads, the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has in consultation with the National Executive and Parliamentary Leadership of National Democratic Congress, mandated the nomination
Mr. Chairman,
of the Right Honorable Abansuman Kingsford Babi as Speaker of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, this letter is signed by Mr. Felix Ofosu, Kwachi Ofosu, as Special Aide. Chairman, the preliminary issue I'm raising is to the effect that the nomination
Mr. Chairman,
only requires the consent
where from
of
that
the
letter?
person to be nominated.
Where from that letter? That letter, where is it from?
Situation where
It must not be tolerated.
that the
Where from that
executive
letter?
now directs that a
Where
member
from that letter?
should nominate would make this arm
This
of
is a
government
House of Records.
an
Where from that
appendage
letter?
of the executive. Mr. Chairman,